And the other thing I need to mention as well is that part of the residency was called the Silence Awareness Freedom Residency, and as a part of that we were encouraged to hand in our phones, and we had very limited access to internet, like basically really just in one room. So I think the idea for me, I was quite excited about that idea of being away from technology, and also having the opportunity, another part of the residency was daily meditation. So I was really excited about that, just being in that sort of quiet period of solitude. So that was fine for the first week until partway through the second week, where we started to getting news filtering through about the coronavirus, and various messages from home, and families starting to be concerned and worried, and wondering when we were coming home and that sort of thing. So that very much changed the residency a great deal, because suddenly, well, I don't know about everyone else, but I certainly asked for my phone back and was wanting to be more in touch with family. So then, I guess then the second week and into the third week, we were all really just kind of scrambling to try and find flights home, and
that's when people started to leave and you started to worry about your own flight.
Exactly. So everyone started to leave, and I had an interesting chat with Qantas, because a friend in Australia had actually found a flight for me that the travel agent was going to book that day, and I said, just let me call Qantas to check on that flight, and the response was, no, the flights are grounded tomorrow. So I think even it seemed like out in the world, even the travel agents weren't able to keep up with what was happening with the flights. And so by the fourth week.
Yeah, so how did this change your art for the
residency?
What changed the residency for you?
Yeah, so it changed it a great deal. So I guess then back to that first week, I just started doing a little bit of text and stitching, thinking about a new artist's work. And initially I was thinking about the silence and the peace, and I was doing kind of stitching and some stenciling of text that really related to just being in that zone of silence. So of course, very quickly with the coronavirus, it all became very chaotic. So my work took a bit of a different direction, and I started, I guess, we were getting handed information every day by the amazing manager Ida here, who was really on top of all of the countries and what was happening. So she would come in the mornings with a sheet of paper that had all the latest news. So I started kind of cutting up that text and constructing stuff. I think just at that point, just to keep myself a little bit busy amongst all of this chaos that was happening, and just to be doing something. And that work has then kept going and has become what will be an artist book when it's finished, called The Isolation Files.
Yeah. And you started another project, an outdoor project.
Yeah, so then there's an amazing photographer here. Actually, she's behind the camera right now, Solange. So we realised when we were, so every week we had a salon where people could talk about their creative practices and the work that they were doing. And Solange and I realised that we kind of had a lot of synchronicity in what we'd been doing. We'd been doing a lot of work previously with red thread. So we had the idea one day to create, there's a beautiful space out in the garden where there's these rocks that have been constructed in a circle. And to me, it, whenever I'd walk by there, it felt very like a beautiful, peaceful kind of sacred space. So we decided to, using some red threads, thread that in and around the rocks to create a bit of a safety net, which I guess was just something that felt like a really nice thing to do for family and friends back home, like we were doing something to make, feel that they were all safe as well.
We're being held here by
exactly
by forces larger than us, and also being taken care of, right?
Exactly.
So Finland has turned out to be more than you expected. How is it?
Absolutely.
Do you feel welcome and safe here? Are you glad to be here?
Yeah. So I think, again, the managers here at Joelle's Creative Centre, I couldn't say enough about. They've just been absolutely incredible, and fortunately allowed us to stay on here, even though our month has
eventually
finished, and we're down to 3. So 3 artists left out of the 13. And as everyone signs the wall when they leave, we've got a little hashtag that's rather than COVID-19, ours is COVID-13. So, but yeah, so I guess that, you know, it's been a bit of a continuing roller coaster. You know, every morning or every night, as the case may be, with time changes around the world. You know, we get updated news. So one day it looks like there will be a flight tomorrow, and then, you know, by the next morning that flight's cancelled, and it just seems like the news is changing daily. But for now, we're in a really beautiful, safe, rural spot here in Finland that feels like, you know, well, I guess it is a very, very long way from home and missing home and family. But I guess the reality is that even if I was in Australia, you know, visiting family who mostly live in other states wouldn't be something that would be possible anyway.
Right. Yeah. So we've got our own little bide our time here and create art. Right?
Exactly. So
I guess we can just say thank you for checking in with Julie. She hopes to come home to Australia soon, and I'll get to Canada, and Solange will get to Argentina. And in the meantime, we'll just create art here at Artelis.
Thanks, Joelle.